Reality check number 3. Congrats, Grad, you're unemployed.
Welcome to Reality Check, a podcast where your hosts Nabia
and Liba
cover the socio-psychological perspectives of our world.
We discuss the things that influence how we interact, behave, and connect. We ask the questions people overlook, from covering identity, culture, relationships, norms, and the hidden scripts we follow.
Reality Check is your space to reflect, laugh, and see the world and yourself a little differently. What are we talking about today, Liba?
Today, we're talking about, it's summertime. People are outside. People maybe have just graduated. People are walking the stages or taking pics with their friends.
Yeah.
They're getting posted by their university, which is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. And what do you want to do in summer? Like, you just want to relax. You just want to chill out. But you can't.
You can't.
You can't anymore.
You're not allowed.
You're not allowed to. You have to open your laptop right now and go on LinkedIn and connect with 50 people and reach out to 70 other people and stalk them and show up at their house.
And you have to schedule 5 bazillion coffee chats. And you have to give 1 million applications and hear back from none of them.
Yep. So today we're talking about you're being unemployed because the job market sucks.
Yeah. I think it's a safe assumption to say that people are finding it kind of hard to secure a job, specifically in their field after they graduate. It kind of makes you wonder if, you went to school for 4 years, you probably busted your ass, or your parents busted their asses to pay for that. Mm-hmm. Is having a degree even really worth it if you just end up working a job that, a high schooler could work?
Yeah. Part 1. Just graduated. Does anyone actually know what's going on?
So honestly, in my opinion, the only real purpose of having a degree is kind of just to show that you have one. You're kind of more likely to get hired if you have a degree, or if you have some sort of proof of hey, I went through the hell of education. The whole doesn't Google hire people without degrees? You kind of wonder if it's actually even really worth it. Yeah. The amount of times that I've applied to a job and just never heard anything back, it is literally a humiliation ritual. Literally being, please, I love you. Yeah. And then hearing it, literally them ghosting you. It's like getting ghosted 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
The job postings are AI. The job applications are done by AI. I'm AI. Yeah. And honestly, the lack of job security that we have is kind of directly correlated to our identity formation and the meaningless of everything. So my main source that I'll be talking about is James E. Cote. He's a professor of sociology at the University of Western. He regularly contributes to sociology of youth, identity formation, and higher education. It's actually funny because the last class that I ever took for my undergrad, it was a class about identity and adulthood, and we studied him. And it was the most mind effing class that I ever took. It literally was how to function in life as an adult. And then I just graduated and I was wait, hold on. Maybe I should have paid more attention. So the society that we live in today is one of the wealthiest, freest, and healthiest environments that has ever existed in human history. And yet people experience an extreme lack of purpose, and they don't really use any of the advantages that are at our disposal to grow into themselves. It's not their fault, obviously. Decision paralysis is a very real thing. And our society offers external freedoms and peace, but kind of does nothing for our internal drive or meaning to help us grow physiologically. This is what Cote dubbed the affluence purpose paradox, which he defines as the widespread lack of purpose under conditions of unprecedented affluence. So basically, even though modern society are richer and we have more freedom than ever, many people still feel like they lack purpose. And I feel like that's kind of true. I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys listening, but I feel like there actually is a lot of lack of purpose in our lives. Cote defined 2 types of societies. There's past role societies and current identity societies. So role societies are where traditional norms concerning social statuses kind of prevailed individual choices. So your identity was very much ascribed at birth and replicated by your parents, your grandparents. It was kind of passed down to you. In contrast, our current identity society, young people who are not rooted in tradition-based families are kind of expected to go out on their own and discover who they are and discover their purpose. In short, role societies are societies that tell you who you are based on your social positioning, and identity societies implore you to venture out to find your individual purpose. There's pros and cons to both. The main thing that I want to focus on is that identity societies, a con of this society is that there's a lot of identity confusion. I feel like that's actually a major problem that affects a lot of university students today.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to find jobs that are in your field, which means it's harder to find jobs that are meaningful to you and that matter to you. That kind of goes into identity confusion, which is just not knowing who you are or like what direction your life needs to go in. This kind of happens when your personal identity and your social identity don't really line up or feel kind of unclear. And purpose and identity are very much connected. Purpose gives direction to your identity, and your identity shapes your choices and your purpose. So my experience, I think our parents' generation experienced a role society.
Gen X, yeah.
Yeah, Gen X. They experienced a role society where like, you know, the two genders, doctor, lawyer, that's all they got, you know? But they were like happy.
Yeah.
They were kind of happy about it. And then they immigrated and time passed, and then we were born into an identity society, and we kind of have that dual identity within us, which is like the current society that we're in today is like you need to go out and strike out on your own and discover yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But then we still have like our parents' expectations of who we have to be. So yeah, the change from role societies to identity societies is honestly very recent, and it kind of does make sense that we're not really prepared for it. Identity societies also have the problem of the happiness paradox, which is you can't achieve happiness by directly pursuing it. Yep. It is a byproduct of having a purpose, which is like kind of like, it's crazy because I feel like so many people want to achieve happiness, but it's like if you try to achieve happiness, you're not going to achieve happiness.
Yeah, and happiness is also not an external thing. Like there are external things that can make you happy, but it's because your mentality, like happiness is purely like an emotion, right? It's like your mentality based. So people who have achieved lifetime happiness, it's because they have the mentality of like little things in their life that make them happy.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah. It's like having a purpose in life and working towards that purpose, and then a byproduct of that is happiness. Like happiness is like a symptom of living a good life. So Cote talks about something called the student mental health crisis, which is many high-achieving young people enter college with great opportunities, but they really struggle to turn those into real personal growth. Students are experiencing a high level of stress, anxiety, and depression, which comes directly from identity confusion and lack of a long-term purpose. Universities used to be respected because they kept pretty high standards, because I feel like back in the day, it was like a prestigious thing to be like, I went to university and I, you know, am part of a high society. Now it's very much like schools, they don't really like...
They don't value their own degrees.
Yes.
They value the money that's coming in, and they value... Schools don't really value what their degree can give you anymore. Yeah. It's more so like a networking place now.
It is a networking
but
place.
Very expensive one.
Extremely. One that'll break your bank, you know? But yeah, you're right. Like education kind of became more focused on kind of like that social aspect and like even like equality. So everyone is going to university now, which means that things like grade inflation are happening, which is like, I know that was like the worst thing that I experienced in school. There's also a specific thing called a cooling out, which is basically colleges will help students lower their expectations, which is what I was saying. Like they will do the first year grade drop. I remember hearing that in school where it was like,
they do that. Yeah.
Don't expect to pass my class. Don't expect to do well. And it's like, why?
What do you mean?
Like,
don't expect to pass my class?
Exactly. Yeah. So students who finish college do tend to get better jobs, but having a degree can mainly help younger people avoid the lower wages instead of guaranteeing high earnings. So there's a thing called downwards job cascading. People who have university degrees are forced to take jobs that they are way overqualified for, jobs that don't require degrees, which means that people who have lesser educations or none at all are in an even worse spot, which just sucks. Like imagine working, like going to school for 4 years and then working a job that literally a high schooler could do. Like I feel like there's so many jobs out there where it's like you get the job and you're like, I did not have to go through anything to get, like, I don't need any information at all.
That was really well put, actually. And having the sociological understanding of what's going on right now. And one huge aspect that I think a lot of people are going through that you touched on was the identity crisis, where it's what's my purpose in life, I do think it's a lot of comparison with online stuff as well, where everybody seems to be super happy in their careers. And, you know, our parents sacrificed a lot for us to have like choices, right?
Yeah.
They didn't really have that many choices, whether that's from the role society or from the identity point of view. So they kind of were just like okay with what they were doing. Now you have the freedom to be able to choose what you want to do, but that also does cause
And ironically, that makes us like more miserable.
That makes us more miserable. Yeah. So a more economical or more like real life perspective I wanted to put out, and also maybe like how that affects our psychology, where what Liba was saying, it also has to do with how employers are hiring. So I was reading this article by Mehek Basi. It's called The Silent Mental Health Crisis of Job Seekers. And for example, Basi explains that from 2021 to 2022, so 6 years ago, the average time that it took somebody to find a job was 3 to 4 months. And by then, within those 3 to 4 months, you would have applied for the job, interviewed, and gotten the position, right? Now, fast forward even like 5, 6 years, the job search can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And I've heard it's really bad. I do think the 6 months to 2 years is what people are experiencing right now. And I know there's so less job security now too, that I know people who are in full-time jobs that are still applying to jobs because they don't know if they're going to get laid off or not.
100%.
And that is smart, but it's also sad that you can't even be like set in your job anymore.
No.
So I was thinking, what drove this crazy change? You know, what even like within the past 6 years, is it COVID? Is it AI? You know, all these things. Is everything? Are Gen Z really just that lazy and underqualified? You know, did millennials set up is it like a generational thing? But it is true that companies are posting fake jobs. The interviews are being held by AI, which is so unnerving. AI is being used to detect AI writing. You're right. Like the hypocrisy with companies hating AI applications. And it's weird that within the past like 2020 was, I hate to say it, but it was a long time ago. That's crazy.
As when you said like it was 5 years ago or like 6 years ago, I literally was sitting here going, what do you mean?
What do you mean it's been 6 years?
That's so weird.
Since 2020. I feel like a whole different person.
I know. But I also feel like that was like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, it also feels like I had blonde hair like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Another article I was looking at by Jessica Davies called Robot Interviewers, How Recruitment is Evolving for Gen Z Professionals. Let's say you get to the interview stage, right? This article was stating that the future of interviews are going to be held by AI bots that will be able to determine your soft skills. And employers aren't looking for specific things that they used to look for. Now employers are looking at how much genuine like work experience do you have. Sometimes your degree doesn't even matter. Like Google doesn't, I think you were saying like Google doesn't need a degree for to hire you. They look at your skills. So this article by Davies was saying that the AI bots are being trained to determine your soft skills and your ability to be like a team member or to be part of a role, and then they'll put that all together and send a report to the hiring committee. Unfortunately, it's this shift towards a new type of life.
Yeah.
And whenever something shifts, there's change, right? And then everybody is kind of in this situation where, like, unfortunately, in that article as well, it was saying that Gen Z's entering the job market at a really tough time, which I think that's what the issue is that after COVID, it was really confusing how to start, plus AI, and remote work was completely abandoned, like the return to home thing and all that stuff. So
which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
I think they like overcompensated everything. Like it's fine if you want to work from home. I will do work better in my bed than at the office.
Yeah. Another point I wanted to make comparatively to the other one was this article by Jenny Pham called Gen Z Faces the Toughest Entry-Level Job Market in Decades in 2026, which is what I was talking about. There's no entry-level positions anymore. AI is taking over some jobs. There's a shift towards companies kind of eradicating entry-level work, and now you have like junior and senior level positions where people that don't have that much experience, you're kind of at a loss during this change. So that's basically why we're seeing what we're seeing right now, is that we're in this like shift of a change. And I'll touch on psychologically what that has to do with your brain and like what things that cause, but it does have a lot to do with like the role society and your identity and feeling like you're not enough. Like you went through 4 years of misery of university and now my degree doesn't even count.
Yeah. Part 2. What did we go through? To me, university was 100% a social experience more than an academic one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember, like, the social events, the hanging out with friends, the late night study sessions that we would
Oh,
go through. Like, I
yeah.
actually think about it, and I
miss
get
those.
so... For context, we went to school
Yeah,
together.
we went to school together, yeah.
You know, oh my god, you know what? The only reason I would go to school in my final year is because Nabia's car. I was done taking the bus by like third year. I was over it. So shout
I
out
drove
Nabia's,
her.
shout out Nabia's
Yep.
car because
I drove a lot of people to
you
school.
drove like, bro, you were your own
I was
boss.
my own boss. That's what I'm saying.
You had your own clan of people.
Yeah.
And it was so fun because like we would like get food and like we would hang out late night on campus, you know, drive back at like 10 p.m. and then
Yeah.
be awake at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
It was so great. And it was funny because I was cleaning out my laptop after graduating, and I had this kind of like moment where I realized that like all of my assignments, coursework, essays, everything that I had like given my all to, it was just like lost media.
Mm-hmm.
Like I only saved the things that I actually was proud of, like things that I actually saw merit in keeping. Most of the things that I submitted had literally no impact on me personally. It was just a means to an end.
Yep.
It was just to get the grade and to get out. Me personally, I never had a clear path of what I wanted to do after university. And I think that honestly kind of contributed to the way that I felt about university itself. I really thought that it would help me narrow down my options and, you know, kind of give me skills to use after I graduated. But it was almost as if it like ate me up and spit me out afterwards. Like it kind of was like, okay, you're done. You've walked the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Now leave. We're going to delete your email. We're
Yeah.
going to get rid of everything. It's like, it will be as if you never existed.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay. All right, great.
I do. Yeah, I agree. Like after university, I personally wanted a year off from working a full-time job because I never had time to relax. And so that's when the 6 to 8 months of applying to jobs to get the job that I have right now. So it wasn't even
That wasn't even relaxing.
Yeah, it wasn't even relaxing. It was me just working 2 part-time jobs on top of that, looking for a job. Like that was my relaxing, quote unquote.
That is
you know?
crazy.
That was my experience. I did experience a lot of identity loss and identity confusion, as well as no relaxing. And university, your name doesn't even matter anymore. Part 3: Hustle culture or lack thereof.
So there's kind of two sides to this coin. There is like people that are I honestly feel like maybe this is like us, where it's like overworking yourself to literally the brink of death.
Yeah.
And then people that have stopped overworking themselves and are kind of realizing like what the heck is going on? Like why is there just this horrible culture surrounding jobs?
Yeah, I kind of sway in between these two a lot because I was a workaholic growing up. Me too. And yeah, and I definitely reaped the repercussion. What's the saying?
You definitely felt the repercussions.
I felt the repercussions of being a workaholic and overworking myself in my health. And so then I fought back and didn't want to overwork myself anymore. But then that's when you start feeling like a loser against hustle culture,
like a chopped bomb.
Yeah, if you're not like literally eye twitching, trying to like get your last email in.
Literally.
But yeah, I think Liba has a really good point that she wants to put out in terms of overworking. So take it away.
Thank you. So there is an Australian neurologist, Viktor Frankl, who coined the term existential vacuum, which is the chronic and general meaningless and emptiness found in people. He found that by helping his patients understand and find a sense of meaning, they would be cured of this so-called existential vacuum. So this is a direct quote. I talked about this before, which is, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you are going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue, and it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's dedication to a greater cause than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. Basically, happiness is a byproduct of having a meaningful and purposeful life, which I think is something that I think I need to remember sometimes, because I'm like, oh, like, why do I feel like this? Like, what is my purpose, my lack of purpose in life make me unhappy? And it's like, well, they're actually directly connected. And it kind of reminded me of the movie Soul. Life isn't about achieving grand predetermined purposes or chasing success, but it's just about regular old living. Like that movie really teaches us to like find joy in everyday moments and human connections. And it also argues that like your spark is not your life's grand purpose or your ultimate career, but it's just like what makes you passionate about being alive. So getting good grades and passing courses are definitely short-term goals for students, But unless like the learning activities involved in achieving those goals are tied to a larger purpose, grades and course credits are not really meaningful. And I feel like I experienced that where like I found it so hard to care about a course if I didn't care. And I know that sounds like
Mm-hmm.
very like straightforward, like of course you wouldn't care. But like I would like only do good in the courses that I found merit in, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is gonna help me outside of university. If
Mm-hmm.
it was like a random like bird course that I just needed to pass
Yeah.
and graduate, I was like, I could not care less. In today's identity focused societies, people really need to learn to balance their personal identity, which is their individuality, values, and uniqueness, with their social identity, which is their sense of belonging and connection to groups. And when this balance is missing, people honestly, they do feel identity confusion, especially young people who are pushed to stand out, but they don't always have strong community to kind of back them up and anchor them. So there's definitely this pressure to be unique within our culture, but there's not enough social support, and that kind of makes it harder to feel grounded. But when people do find a healthy balance between who they are personally and where they fit socially, they feel more continuous over time, less confused, and stronger in their overall sense of self.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Going back to the movie Soul, I do believe that is one of the best movies Disney has put out
Peak.
in the last 10 years.
So
It's so
good.
good, and it makes me really mad that it came out during COVID because Disney didn't even promote it properly,
Yeah.
and it was a Disney Plus release. And so it changed my life genuinely to the point where I was like, you need to slow down and just enjoy. And so I really encourage people. I encourage people to watch Sing, and I encourage people to watch Soul.
I love
Because
Sing.
yeah, I love Sing, but the reason why is from Sing, and this does apply. I always think of his quote where the good thing about reaching rock bottom is the only way you can go is up.
Yeah, because of where we are in life right now, because
Mhm.
of where society is. Like, I feel like if you're around our age, if
Mhm.
you're going through like this job market crisis, like watching that movie, it'll actually like just teach you. You just need to live in whatever moment because you'll never experience that moment again.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so beautiful.
Based on that movie, I wanted to touch on this article by Tom Starner called Why Gen Z and Millennials Are Turning to Quote Unquote Side Jobs to Stay Afloat. Based on Soul, where it was kind of your purpose in life is what you're passionate about and like you're passionate about being alive, I feel that a lot of people have multiple jobs now. In the sense where you have your basic 9 to 5, but more millennials and Gen Z to stay afloat because they're dealing with financial insecurity, job insecurity, high stress levels. They find meaning from things outside of work that can also make them money. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of people online where they're content creators, but they also have a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
And they have a business on the side. So they have multiple streams of income and these things that make them passionate, where a lot of people lost their ability to be creative a few couple like years ago and decades ago because they had to work, right?
Yeah.
And because jobs paid enough at the time to sustain living, your creativity was kind of just like a hobby you did on the side, or you just didn't do it at all.
Yeah.
But now people our age and millennials, they're turning to, okay, make that business because the economy sucks right now anyways. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And those are their passion. Like people that are content creators, aside from their 9 to 5 job, you go to work, you clock in, that's the money you're getting. You use that money to invest for yourself, and I find that really honorable, and I find that really nice that we're finding ways to kind of combat the financial insecurity. It sucks that people aren't paying enough, but the silver lining of it is that people are getting to be more creative now. And I think it's really great to combat that in the age of AI where
I agree.
You get to be creative and have fun.
Like the whole thing, like there's like, yeah, like it sucks that like jobs aren't caring enough about us, but like the other side of it is like we also don't have to care about that. Like the whole, I feel like the culture has shifted where people are like, give your job like not even like 70%, like be the person that shows up to work not early, like don't be working all this overtime, like so you're putting,
because there's no point in working overtime anymore. You don't get benefits from
exactly. You literally like can give, I see it in like honestly like our parents' generation, like you work all these years and you're so loyal to this one company and they will just replace you in a second. So it's like, actually I'm gonna give you 50% of my energy, I'm gonna just do the work and I'm gonna get the money and I'm gonna put that into something that I'm actually passionate
and that
about.
comes off as Gen Z being lazy, but we're just being smart, which also ties into what we were talking about, overworking yourself and then people having these multiple jobs, being a workaholic. So this article, it wasn't an article, sorry, it was a study by Mazzetti et al. And posted in 2014, kind of going into the relationism of someone being a workaholic, someone's personal characteristics, and whether their climate is like a quote unquote overwork climate.
Ooh.
So we can put that in the context of society being very like, if you don't have multiple streams of income, what are you doing? You know, we are kind of having to beat the financial insecurity by having multiple streams of income and having to do multiple jobs. So by definition, a workaholic is a syndrome that's characterized by someone's obsession with work that leads to people working excessively hard. It takes a lot of your time, it takes over a lot of your energy.
Yeah.
It has a behavioral component and a cognitive component where like you're thinking about work all the time and then you're actually doing it.
Experiencing that sucks.
Yeah. And then with the increase of technology, work has also become a lot more accessible. You know, like you can log into your work email and just check your email on your phone, you know, when before you would have to open your laptop or you would have a desktop at work, and when you're gone from work, you can't really check your emails, you know?
That's true.
So this study wanted to look at whether there was a connection between how people perceive their workplace. So, for example, is my workplace very fast paced? Is everyone very go, go, go? Or is it very slow? And people's personal characteristics, they also wanted to look at people's personal characteristics in relation to that. So they looked at someone's achievement motivation, perfectionism, conscientiousness, I can never pronounce that right, and self-efficacy, which conscientiousness means the personality trait of being responsible, careful, organized, and diligent. And self-efficacy means someone's own belief that they're able to do things and reach specific goals. They wanted to look at whether someone's personal characteristics, whether their perception of their workplace leads to workaholism or someone being a workaholic.
Oh, okay.
And they studied Dutch participants.
Oh, okay, shout out Dutch.
And they found that people who were high in traits of like achievement motivation, they were perfectionists, they were conscientious, and they were very like, they believed had a lot of self-efficacy, also perceived their work climate to be like stronger, like very workaholic. And they were more sensitive to cues of their work climate being more workaholic in comparison to those that
like their work expected them to be workaholic.
It was more so like, if you are a perfectionist, you're more sensitive to a workaholic work environment. Like you're going to give into that.
Oh, like you're more susceptible.
Yeah, you're more susceptible to it. So people that have the workaholism personality and that drive, they feel the need to work all the time because they have something to prove. It's the financial state of the world, our innate need to compare our success with others, and the overwork climate of the world that's pushing you to work. When you're checking LinkedIn, everybody's doing better than you. Now I have to start the business. Now I have to get a job. Now I have to do like 7 other things on the side.
Yeah.
Because you're comparing yourself, and then you also have aspects of perfectionism. You also have aspects of competitiveness, which is just natural. Everybody's a little competitive.
That makes sense.
That's why I wanted to point out generally that like the workaholic quote unquote behavior is because our society is so work. And even though we are pushing back on that, there is still a sense of the work-life balance has become like your side jobs and your creative stuff are also your income. So what do you do?
It's actually like you can't like do anything. Like you're just kind of stuck in that cycle. Part 4. Do I even belong here?
I did want to touch on one psychological aspect of this whole workaholic, this whole job market insecurity, even getting a job, where there is a rise in something called imposter syndrome, which I'm sure...
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people listening to this know what imposter syndrome is, but for the people that don't, it's a feeling that the position you're in or your achievements are not attributed to your characteristics and your ability, but rather that you got lucky, or that you shouldn't be in the role that you're in, or like, who let me be here? You know, why am I working at NASA? Like, I'm just somebody, like, I just have a degree in engineering. Why am I working at NASA? Or
yeah, I feel like that's because there's like a mismatch in the education that you receive and then the job that you get.
That's so crazy that you say that, because that falls into my next point from this article by Anne-Marie Sequoia. I don't know how to say the last name. Sequoia, which is, will Gen Z be the first generation not to experience imposter syndrome? So it kind of brings like a different twist to it, where you were saying that this article kind of is like, Gen Z and millennials are equipped with Google, and one of the aspects of imposter syndrome is not having knowledge, or not having, like, being kind of lost, where you're like, let's say you're given like a huge presentation and you're like, I don't know what
like you feel very like out of your element.
You feel out of your element. This article wanted to bring a different twist to it, where we might be like phasing out of imposter syndrome, because knowledge is power and you get confidence from knowing what you don't know. Like when you find out what you don't know, you feel less anxious, and like imposter syndrome does have a bit of anxiety to it, where like you don't want to mess up the job that you worked so hard to get. This article wanted to put a spin on a lot of people experiencing imposter syndrome by saying that Gen Z might be the first generation not to experience it because we have the ability to ease the anxiety by knowing, right? And so you have the ability to control your reality, which helps ease the feeling of, you know, you don't belong here. Which I just wanted to bring like a different perspective.
That is a different, yeah.
But another article which kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about, by Jill Whitaker, called "Why Does Imposter Syndrome Seem to Be Rising?" basically brings the other side of the story, where it's like it does feel like everybody has imposter syndrome. You know what? You're at work and you compare your performance with your coworkers. Your coworkers are like 20 years ahead of you in your career. Is like, why did you hire me? That's so weird.
And yet
like,
you're still expected to perform at the exact
same level. Like in the article, she references Joe Hemmings, who's a behavioral psychologist, that states that imposter syndrome is a widespread issue, and that it kind of goes into the explanation that employers should be giving more training to employees
100%.
to help them feel equipped for the role that they're in, which training is also a big issue. A lot of people and employers brush off training.
Yeah.
And so that's why you feel like, why am I in this role? You know, you didn't even tell me what to do.
Yeah, I feel like every job I've ever worked, there has been like little to no training, and it is so weird because I'm like, why would you put me here?
Whitaker kind of goes into that battling imposter syndrome comes from understanding your qualifications. You get to receive positive feedback for your work at work, and having the knowledge beforehand of the things that you're anxious about that you're not qualified for, which goes again with the article by Anne Marie saying that we have Google on our side.
That's true.
So it's not to say that you can't experience imposter syndrome. It's very normal too, but
we have solutions.
We have solutions, and it is a widespread issue. I feel imposter syndrome every day of my life.
I know everyone listening to this has felt it at some point in their life.
Part 5, tying it together.
So knowing what we know now, what the heck do we do? I know that you guys probably came to this episode thinking, oh my gosh, like they're gonna tell us the secret recipe.
No.
No.
We just wanted to bring kind of an understanding as to why the job market is the way that it is. I do believe that it is like this change shift that we're going through, and we're kind of just being trudged along in it right now, which I've never heard anybody else bring that perspective to it. Me or very seldomly, like people don't. It's kind of just like the complaining aspect of it, which is fine. You should complain about it.
Yeah, complain about it, because complain makes change.
Yeah. And so, but that's the thing, is that I think a lot of people haven't put out the idea that there's a change going on, and it's not maybe a bad change. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's the thing. Like the whole thing of like role societies and identity societies. There's a lot of pros with role societies. There's a lot of pros with identity societies. You have more opportunities. You have a higher personal freedom. You have more self-expression, as opposed to like role societies, which is like there's less individuality. There's not a lot of opportunities. Like we are living in the most affluent, free world that has ever happened or occurred ever. That comes with a lot of positives.
And like the negatives, we can focus on that. But the positive is like you can do whatever you want. Start the business, because if it fails, just go back to your job.
Right? Literally.
There's a lot of understanding where you think that there's a lot of loss if you try, but there's loss if you don't try as well.
Whoa. That is crazy.
Yeah.
You're so right about that. And I think a lot of our viewers are maybe early, mid, late 20s. And I feel like your 20s, it's kind of like a magical transformative time in like the space between, where it's like you are expected to crash and burn.
Yep.
You're expected to try that crazy job, or like, you know, move out and do the passion project that you've always wanted to do. Like you're expected to try, and you know, failing comes with trying, but like I think it's better to try and fail than to like never even know.
Yeah.
But all in all, to say, it just kind of sucks right now.
Yeah. And we just wanted to bring the sociological understanding of the societal roles of job hunting and kind of identity confusion, and what grads are feeling right now, and also what's going on with this whole changing environment and AI, and then also the psychology aspect of it is like how damaging it is to your self-worth. But that just means like redirect, you know, misdirection is redirection, or whatever the saying is, whatever they be saying these days, you know.
You don't have to feel alone in this, because it sucks, but like I just want to say don't give up on job searching.
Mm-hmm.
It is so annoying to get ghosted a million times a day. Like, trust me, I know. But you just have to keep trying. I will always say a handshake will get you farther than a job application.
But I hope this gives some ease to some people that, you know, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, but there's a silver lining to it where you can just enjoy what's going on right now.
You're not alone. We're here. We're struggling right alongside you. Yeah. And good things will come. Don't compare yourself. If LinkedIn is damaging your mental health, it's okay to take a break. Mm-hmm. You can keep it on your laptop and delete it off your phone. Mm-hmm. You can go watch the movie Soul and appreciate just like where you are in life, because yeah, it does suck. And it does seem like everything is very career oriented in society, but it's also like there's so much more to life and there's so much more to you, and you have so much more to offer than a 9 to 5. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
We definitely enjoyed doing it for you.
Mm-hmm. And Liba, if they want to follow us, where can they follow us?
Oh my goodness. So if you guys wanted to follow us on socials, our Instagram is the.realitycheck.podcast. We recently made a Twitter account. Our Twitter is called The Reality Check Podcast, or at Reality Check with 3 A's. We also made a YouTube, Yay! Which may or may not mean some physical media soon, maybe some visual media. Maybe. We don't know. Our YouTube handle is, this is a doozy, at The Reality Check Podcast by LN. We also have a LinkedIn, which is so funny. You guys should definitely take a break from LinkedIn if it's hurting your mental health, but just right after you follow us, just right after. Yeah. Our LinkedIn is just Reality Check with Liba Asif and Nabia Ali. Our government names us crazy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's where you guys can find us, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode. See you in the next one.
Bye. Bye.